If it wasn't for neighbors helping neighbors, our churches, strangers coming here, people that still don't even know their name, probably won't see them again, but if it wasn't for them, we would have been a lot worse shape than we're in.
From News 5 WCYB and Fox 39 WEMT, this is a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall. Hope after Helene.
The day our region changed forever. Remnants of Hurricane Helene produced flood levels northeast Tennessee, southwest Virginia, and western North Carolina hasn't seen in modern times. Before Helene hit, it roared ashore as a Category 4 storm slamming Florida's Big Bend region. Meteorologists had tracked this storm through the Gulf for several days, watching as it rapidly intensified in the warm waters, signaling it was going to be a monster.
We knew Helene was a giant hurricane, very large, and it was moving very quickly to the north, and we knew that combined that was going to be a big problem.
Then, the storm charged north like a raging bull, bringing a fury of a hurricane and tropical storm to parts of our country that seldom see such weather.
Because it was so big and it was moving so fast, it moved so far inland with very high impacts, so we don't see that type of storm very often around here.
Helene caused flooding from the start, but when the storm reached our mountains, the skies seemed to burst open, filling our streams and rivers with more water than they could ever hold.
This is just total devastation to this area in the Nolichucky River Valley.
For some, their families have lived along these riverbanks for generations. They've experienced floods before, but none like this one.
Of course, the building's gone, the sheds is gone, everything's gone. Smokehouse is gone, all the carports, tractors, machinery, trucks, cars, house, it's all gone.
The rivers of our region turned into fast-moving walls of water. Buildings, bridges, homes, all standing little chance to hold up against the mighty force of Mother Nature. By the time the sun rose the next day, it was clear the destruction our region had suffered was catastrophic. The governors declared emergencies, the National Guards deployed, the volunteers showed up. Through the shock and the grief, the rebuilding had already begun.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Preston Ayers. Thank you for joining us for this town hall, Your Voice, Your Future, a special presentation from News 5 and Fox 39. There is no question the devastation after Helene hit our region was tremendous. But we've come a long way, but there's still a ways to go. Tonight, we're looking at where we've reached at this point after 6 months and how we can continue to move forward as a region and how we can help those victims continue to heal. We are joined this evening by a series of special guests that are taking part in the recovery, many of them leading the efforts in their own counties. I'd like to meet our first panel this evening and say thank you for joining us. First of all, a group of county mayors that know all too well about the devastation of Helene in East Tennessee. First of all, is Carter County Mayor Patty Woodby. Mayor, thank you so much for coming and talking with us and what you have dealt with in Carter County. Just down the road from Patty is Kevin Morrison, the county mayor from Greene County. Kevin, you guys were hit especially hard, a lot of bridges and roads lost in your county. And we'll talk about that and that dam that raised a lot of question and concern at one point. And also with us this evening from Washington County is County Mayor Joe Grandy. Joe, thank you so much for coming. Another county hit especially hard, and we've talked a lot about the devastation that you all have been dealing with. And first of all, I'll open it up to all of you, to however you want to jump in here. Let's talk about the starting point. After that day in September, was there a moment when you looked out and realized, wow, what the mountain of recovery we have and what it was looking like at that point? Patty, if you want to jump in there.
Absolutely. For me, it was very overwhelming. Carter County was hit pretty hard. The entire southwest end of Carter County was almost destroyed. Most of ours was residential, roads, bridges, fire department, and we lost the high school. We lost Hampton High School, which is the largest high school in our county, that displaced 400 kids and 50 faculty. So looking at that damage, it was scary, and it's still scary, and we're still on the road to recovery. But it's been overwhelming as a leader. It's been overwhelming as a citizen. And so it's just a lot to take in, and it required a lot of patience.
Kevin, what happened in Greene County? What was it like when you came back that next morning and looking at what you were dealing with?
Preston, when the sun came up on Saturday morning, We have 10 bridges. We have 32 miles of the Nolichucky River, 10 bridges that span the Nolichucky River. They were all closed for a period of about 84 hours, half of which today remain either damaged and destroyed and closed to traffic. We also had 114 homes on some level of destruction, 60 of which were completely wiped off the map. $22 million worth of private property infrastructure damage, $120 million in public property infrastructure damage. We had 15,000 people plunged into darkness. 74,000 people would run out of water in 48 hours. And then to add insult to injury, we had 20,000 people on the south side of the Nolichucky River that was completely cut off from food, water, medicine, or any means of evacuation, which was very touch and go for us. So that was people that needed oxygen tanks. They needed diabetic supplies. They needed to have diabetic infusions and things like that. And we had no way to get them back on the north side of the river. And if we did, the hospital was evacuating because we were running out of water. And it did $15 million worth of infrastructure damage to the Greenville Water Commission's water pump station. So that's sort of what we were looking at just a few hours after the sun came up.
And those two alone are devastations enough that would last for years to recover. Now add another county in there. Joe, let's talk about Washington County, what you all started off with.
Well, it was the same way for me. Standing on the roadway, looking at Highway 81 and the bridge completely gone, and then knowing that the other 4 bridges down through our county were out as well, we had thousands of people isolated in a community without water, without power, without access to emergency equipment. So that Friday afternoon was amazing to me just to think about what we needed to do next. And so crack of dawn Saturday morning, we're working with the Sheriff's Department, contractors, our Highway Department, trying to open up some passageway to access those folks across the river. We had a school over there, and it was really it was really scary to think that the river was still high. We, as a county, worked with a structural engineer, and so where all the TI engineers weren't available that fast, but we were able to bring this engineer out, and we just went to the bridges and started to analyze them and figure out, and we were able to get one bridge open by about noon on Saturday, and another road was being cleared. Part of it was washed out, but we had contractors in there, the Highway Department was there, the Sheriff was there, and we were all working together to try to gain some access over there. So before the end of the day Saturday, we actually had a path to get in there. So there was another bridge that the bridge was intact. In fact, the first vehicle that we took across the bridge was a 52,000-pound Traco. Wow. Now, that's a test right there. I don't mind telling you.
That puts it to a challenge for sure.
But anyway, it went across, and so the issue with that bridge was the bridge was there, but the approach was gone. And so a team of local volunteers, contractors, and our highway group worked 24 hours to build back that approach. So then we had 2 ways in and a third on the way. So really within 72 hours, we had pretty good access over there. Still no water, still no power, but our utility groups worked tirelessly 24 hours a day, and on day 3, power was restored, and on day 3.5, water was restored. So it came together pretty quick for the very basics. Right. But we still had hundreds of people over there that had suffered huge loss. If you can imagine your house going away, but not just that, your cars, all your family memorabilia, everything washed away in an instant. But I think the real thing that we can be thankful for, and it was just God's intervention, to be honest with you, that the peak of the flood occurred during the day. In Washington County, we have 4 people confirmed and 2 missing. So 6 people out of the hundreds that were impacted. I think it's an absolute miracle that was all the casualty.
With all of that destruction, in a short term, how is recovery today? How would you describe what you have in Washington County today?
Well, I think it's amazing. It's hard to believe it's been 6 months. Some days it seems like it's been 3 years. Some days it seems like it's been 3 hours. But the recovery is taking place. We have a huge group of volunteers and a great team of people working. Already 60 homes are either under construction or completely built. And I was just told a little bit ago that we had one built in less than 3 days.
That is fantastic.
So I think the really great thing for our group is our planning department came together, our zoning, and we were able to issue the first building permit on day 17 after the storm. So that began the pace, and we haven't laid down at all since then. They're still moving forward. There's a lot to do, but we've got a good start.
Kevin, quickly, what's Greene County looking like today?
We're well into our rebuilding and reconstruction phase. Greene County was blessed because we have an organization called AidNet, and I know you have some representatives here. That organization was established in Greene County after the floods of 2001. They were resurrected after the tornadoes in 2011, and it's a group of volunteers. It's all volunteers. They solicit donations, accept financial donations and things to purchase building supplies and sort of fill in, if you will, with rebuilding folks' homes where, for instance, FEMA leaves off or insurance doesn't cover or whatever. They've built a number of homes in Greene County working with various groups. I know we've had some Amish and Mennonite groups that have come and done some tremendous amount of work in terms of reestablishing homes. TDEC has worked with us. You know, for instance, where the river has changed and land has changed, a lot of folks don't even have land enough to put a septic tank on, for instance. Wow. So that adds an extra, but we're going to stay with it. And we're looking very good.
Patty, quickly, how's Carter County?
We're well on our way to recovery. Carter County sustained quite a bit of public infrastructure damage. We're right at around $180 million in public infrastructure. 675 homes with major minor damage, 74 completely destroyed and lost. They're no longer there. So we have our bid. We've lost 3 county bridges. Those have been submitted out to bid, and we've selected a contractor on those, and they're in the engineering phase right now. We have 84 miles of road that was destroyed. That's 70 roads. That includes 152 sites on those roads that will have to be fixed. We have stream bank stabilization. That means that the stream banks along the roads have to be stabilized again before the roads can be fixed. That's 52 sites. That's right at $1.8 million. So there's a lot of money in play here for myself and my colleagues in their counties. And so, but we are on the way to recovery. There's been a lot of cleanup. I want to talk a minute about the debris cleanup because that's a massive in all of our counties.
I want to ask you about that and how that's going in just a second. But in the meantime, our Caleb Hurney has some questions from the community. We want to hear from Caleb and what you guys have been asking and wanting to hear from leaders. Caleb, what have you heard this evening?
Yeah, Preston, I've been asking folks out in the community, both on Facebook and talking to folks in person about some of the questions that they have about this recovery process. A lot of them coming in. Our first question I want to start with here that can maybe help guide some of your discussion. Marvin asked about the farmland, the impact on farmland. He says that he's heard that fertile land was washed away, but he's also heard that the flooding added nutrients to the soil. Which is the case? How is it impacted?
How is this impacted? I know, Joe, you guys have lost a lot in agriculture. Can you address Marvin's question?
Yeah, really, just about all of our loss down through the valley was agribusiness of some sort. And so I'll just say this, that it varies from place to place on the river. There were places where land was scoured out completely, and it makes it really difficult to get in there and to work those fields. Other places, just huge piles of silt that's kind of mushy and difficult to manage. UT Ag is working feverishly, and they are testing soil free to the farmers every day. So anybody wants soil tested, it's available, and they're doing it right now. So in some places, the organic content of the soil actually increased. Other places, it's not looking as favorable, but they've been testing it this winter, and a number of our farmers have put out seed already, and it's beginning to green up. So
it's nice to see
now
that.
whether it continues to grow, or whether it grows a little and doesn't do anything else after that is yet to be determined. But we have the people from UT are working really hard to help the farmers every day, try to figure out what to do with their land.
And hopefully it's going to take off and grow, and for those farmers' sake. And Patty, I want to get back to your discussion with all of you on that debris removal. A lot of folks wondering, still have debris to get rid of. What is the option out there for people as they're still trying to remove that debris, and what are you all doing about that?
Well, right now, all of the debris cleanup has finished in Carter County. We cleaned up around 72,000 cubic yards of debris in Carter County on land. And if there's anyone that's got debris cleanup left, that some we were seeing where people have left their homes and they've come back later on in the debris phase cleanup, and so now they're starting to muck out and clean up more, and the piles are starting to come again. So we've turned to our long-term recovery groups that's each of the counties have, and they have played a really big role in getting volunteers to come out to our county and clean up that debris, and then we're waiving the fees at our landfill to continue to get that cleaned up. And then also the waterways and lake cleanup debris. The debris cleanup's been going very well. Of course, we have Watauga Lake, and right now we've cleaned up about 90,000 cubic yards of debris out of the waterways, and that process is going really well. We want to thank the state. TEMA and the state are overseeing that project, and we really want to thank them for all they've done. It's a massive undertaking, and it's really showing the citizens that there's work being done because that debris is being pulled out. But I think we've come a long ways in all of our counties, especially in Carter County. When I'm out moving around, I can see people out moving around and cleaning up, and they're happy just about seeing progress. I remember, as you were talking to Joe and Kevin, and we talk about one of the things I'm very proud of about Carter County, unfortunately that I do get to say this, is we had 0 loss of life in Carter County.
That's wonderful.
And I remember many nights of those long 16-hour days going home, and I didn't have water or showers or anything, and praying that none of our citizens would be found dead. So,
with all of the destruction, what is this going to mean for the taxpayer and how we end up paying for this in your counties? Kevin, what are you all facing? I've heard many of you all talking about it here tonight before we came on the air with this.
Well, one of the things that, of course, the state legislature had a special session at the end of January, setting aside about $450 million that we can access, which is a loan program. The state steps in and agrees to pay, for instance, the interest on that money, and that would be interest-free for up to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And in that period of time, we're waiting for FEMA reimbursement. So that was a way, for instance, for the state legislature to cash flow the cleanup, the build back, and whatever other infrastructure needs that we require.
Have we seen that money yet? Is it in East Tennessee at this point?
Well, the money that we have seen came from the governor's HEAL program, the Hurricane Helene Emergency Assistance Loan Program. He made about $15 million available to each one of our counties in the disaster declared zone. Greene County accessed about $17.6 million. That was used for 3 of our water utilities as well as debris cleanup. That money was absolutely loaned to us on a 10-year basis, interest-free, so we have that period of time to pay it back. And that was really transformational early on because our budgets are set annually based on the services that we're providing. So we're taxing the citizens on just those services. So we don't have a slush fund anywhere to cash flow these major construction projects. So a small agency or division like Unicoi County is hard for 18,000 people to pull that off. So even 75,000 folks in Greene County, it's hard to pull that off with your budget. So the state legislature stepped up, TEMA stepped up, the governor stepped up, and we're in pretty good shape with regard to access of funding until we can get reimbursed through FEMA.
Joe, how's Washington County looking?
So the same programs applied, and the governor stepped up first and put $100 million into this region to be made available for use for debris removal and some other things, and that was really almost immediately, which is pretty amazing. The special session added some more funding to help support the TEMA and the state has come alongside of FEMA. So the FEMA reimbursement is basically 75% of the cost of what it takes to rebuild. And so that leaves a 25%, gap, which is a big number when you're dealing with the hundreds of millions of dollars of public rebuilding that we're talking about doing. So the state stepped up and said, hey, we're going to cover the next 20%. So now that's only leaving local government with a 5% gap, and so that gets filled in other ways with volunteer efforts and donations and the other things. So at the end of the day, once FEMA pays and the money actually comes back into the local government, it shouldn't cost the citizens of Washington County or any of our counties in the region a lot of dollars. As Kevin mentioned, the process is difficult, it's slow, and so the expectation of getting money back immediately is not realistic. And so we're going to be borrowing money to rebuild public infrastructure, roads. We have a county bridge to rebuild that we're estimating at over $25 million. So the money to do that really has to come from a loan. And the state's agreed to pay the interest on that for 3 years, which helps.
But hopefully it won't end up costing the taxpayer money on the backside with those programs.
That's true, but I'll just say this. That assumes the federal government actually pays. And, you know, right now there's a lot of funds that have been frozen, and they're impacting our recovery effort.
Mayors, thank you all so much for talking with us. A lot of recovery happening. Great work in your all's counties as well. We have more as we continue this coverage this evening. We're going to look at the economic impact that's happened in some of the counties across our region as well. It's Your Voice, Your Future at Town Hall. Hope after Helene. We'll be back in a moment.
From News 5 WCYB and Fox 39 WEMT, this is a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall. Hope after Helene.
Continuing our discussion now, 6 months since Helene devastated our region, looking at two other communities greatly impacted by the effects of a storm that no one expected to be quite as strong as it was once it reached our region. We're joined this afternoon or this evening by Damascus, Virginia Mayor Katie Lamb and the Mayor of Johnson County, Tennessee, Larry Potter. Thank you all so much for coming. Two neighboring communities hit very similar. Mayor Lamb, let's talk about Damascus and what happened once Helene rolled through there and what your town looked like that next morning.
It was pretty devastating. A lot of businesses, a lot of residents. Some people lost everything. The water was viciously flowing down Main Street. And it just came out of nowhere. Trees dropping all over the place, as I'm sure that was happening everywhere. We had people trapped in a house and a couple that were staying in a bed and breakfast that were stuck on the top of a Jeep. Sinkholes all over town. And this is just that afternoon. It took a while for the water to recede. We lost power. We lost cell phone service. We lost water. It was a pretty devastating time and a little bit of a hopelessness because you couldn't get to your people. But our amazing full-time town manager, he'd been on the job for 2 months, and he just was a rock star through this whole thing. Our chief of police is also the chief of the fire department, and he was a rock star, and just all the local police, the state police, all the local folks that came to help us. It was just absolutely amazing, and we, considered it a victory because we had no loss of human life, and everyone was evacuated. Some at the nick of time, but we're recovering.
Mayor, it looks like it's still emotional to talk about as you're talking here with this. You're on the Virginia side, a lot of devastation, a lot of attention on Tennessee, North Carolina. How has Virginia been working through this storm and recovery? What's that done for Damascus?
The Virginia VDEM, Virginia Department of Emergency Management, stepped in right away, and they were very active. Our county administrator, Jason Berry, was a tremendous help through the aftermath, getting restrooms and showers and debris pickup and dumpsters. He was just so implemental in the recovery efforts, still ongoing with the debris everywhere in the rivers. But the county really stepped up. They gave businesses that were hit pretty hard $5,000 right off the get-go. We are rebuilding. Folks are coming back and putting their businesses back. But we have been very blessed and grateful with all the donations and the supplies that came right away. We've set up recovery funds, and we'll probably get to that here in a little bit.
And Mayor, I think that they're telling me that your hair is touching your microphone there. We can't hear quite everything. But you lost something very important, the Creeper Trail.
Yes.
What does that do for your economy? And we're going to talk about how you guys have lost some economy in Johnson County as well. What's that done for your town?
The Creeper Trail is the lifeline of our town. Yes, the entire thing from Damascus to White Top is gone. It has affected our lodging taxes quite a bit. Thankfully, to the folks that have rebuilt their restaurant businesses, our meals taxes are better. And thanks to all the folks that are coming to support us and shop there and dine there. But the Virginia Creeper Trail, I mean, that's a truly just complete devastation to our town as far as employees at the bike shops and the bike shops and their businesses. So that's going to, Governor Youngkin is working on helping us get that back up and running. What an amazing man. Just so grateful for him. It's going to take some time. And in the meantime, Johnson County Trails Association is been working on an alternative trail that has no bridges, no trestles, coming from Shady Valley into Damascus. And so, we are Trail Town USA. We provide connectivity to Johnson County, and we'd love to pair with those folks and get connected that way with them.
That would be amazing to have that and up and going, folks be able to come and be able to more tourism for you guys to do that. Mayor, let's talk about Johnson County for a moment. You guys lost a major industry, and that has to be hard for you guys.
Yes, Parkdale at the day of the hurricane, 400, I think 10 employees, and it's just devastating to a community to lose that many jobs. It's just sort of, the hurricane's bad enough, Hurricane 1, Hurricane 2, Parkdale, so it just keeps on giving, unfortunately, yes.
Let's talk about roads. Earlier on, you were chatting about how that where springtime is here. You're still dealing with a lot of road issues. Where are we at on road recovery in Johnson County?
Well, first of all, I have to give a shout out to TDOT. I think that Friday when I got cell coverage, I took a picture on my phone declaring a disaster, sent it everywhere I could. I called Stephen Borden on a Sunday afternoon, and just so happens he picks up his phone, reads one TDOT. He said, Mayor, how's it going? And, and I said, well, I got major issues. He said, well, I know we got problems, but didn't know it was that bad. And I have to give really shout out to TDOT. I called them Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, they got to Johnson County. Tuesday afternoon, they had a emergency meeting with Maymead, which has a lot of gravel and some big rock. And Wednesday morning, they was hauling rock on 421. Now, you can't get no better or no faster than that. That's a true testament how government should work. 421 was completely shut off, as well as 91 to Damascus. So, except for coming up 321, to your groceries in the Mountain City, that's the only access we had.
I think our Caleb Perney has a question from the community as well that ties right in with the roads and what you guys are dealing with. Let's get over to Caleb for that.
Yeah, Preston, folks are asking a lot about road repair, particularly about the local roads and the timeline on that. So maybe we can address some of the questions about that. Corey asks us, if we have the relief money or the promise of it, why have we not started on key road or bridge repairs? And I understand there's quite a bit more of a process to that.
What does it take to get that construction going on local roads?
Okay, on local roads, it'll probably be a month. It's coming Monday when I went to Nashville. Going into Nashville, got through the traffic, but that's actually mowing the right-of-way. In Johnson County, we're still flooding and pushing snow. We have finally got all the roads, have rode them with FEMA to assess the damage. They're calculating that now to see what it's going to take to put the roads back. And part of that problem is, you're even flooding or still pushing snow in the mountains. It's made it hard to do. So now the sun's come out, it's like we'll fix the roads. I mean, we just got the asphalt plant maybe open up yesterday to start getting asphalt. Some of our largest snows has come in March and April in the mountains.
So weather's going to be a big factor in that, and time of day and time of year.
And money.
And getting that money.
By the time this story airs, our county commission will probably already borrow $12.5 million with another credit line, possibly of another 10 to 12 million. The secret to this, or it's not no secret, but to make it work, is our window is a short time span to get the work done on the roads. I mean, we got to get the damage assessment. We got to put it out for bid. It takes time. You got to put it out, go through all that, which is another month to be able to work on these roads. Well, once we identify the roads and whoever awards the contract, and you hope that works out, say if you get 3 or 4 roads done, we got to pay for that. FEMA, we've paid for it. Here's the paperwork. Please send us money to start the next so many roads.
How hard is that for a county your size?
Real hard. In 2026, our county was looking to be out of debt and probably join we'd be number 15, 16 in the state of Tennessee to say we're out of debt. Looking forward to build your debt service up, money to maybe do some other things in the county, but now we're going to be in debt.
So, Mayor, what do you need in Damascus right now?
Prayer. Keep loving on us.
What can folks do for Damascus? And that's a very hard question. I see the emotion in your face.
Well, just keep writing legislatures and to get our creeper trail back. That's a must, a must that we get that back as quickly as possible. And in the meantime, push for this Iron Mountain Trail that could, bring some of the employees back and having something in the interim. People are going to come back to the creeper trail. This is not to replace the creeper trail. This is just something to keep Damascus alive.
Without it, you need those trails.
Yes.
All right. Mayors, thank you all so much for coming and talking with us. I know recovery is far from over in your counties. A lot of work left to be done, but you guys are doing a lot. And hang in there. We'll come ride the creeper trails with you guys and ride the new trail as well. We're going to continue our discussion looking at how volunteers have made a big impact across our region and how we can help with these communities that still need our help as well. We're back with more of a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall in a moment.
From News 5 WCYB and Fox 39 WEMT, this is a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall. Hope after Helene.
Welcome back to Your Voice, Your Future, a town hall special presentation from News 5 and Fox 39, Hope After Helene. And a lot of the hope that has come after Helene has come from the impact of the community and the volunteers, not just here in our own region, but from all over our country. A couple of groups that are helping to lead that, just 2 of many that are working in our region right now. And representatives will be joining us this afternoon. Jeff Idell is with AidNet in Greene County, and James Hansen with the Washington County, Tennessee Long-Term Recovery Group, which formed after Helene. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming and talking with us. And Jeff, we'll start with you guys. AidNet was there in the past. It had gone away and come back, but now you're back in a big way. What is AidNet doing in Greene County?
AidNet is a long-term recovery group in Greene County, and we're doing very well. We are rebuilding homes and trying to get these people back in their homes. And right now we got a lot of good volunteers, got a lot of skilled people in our county that's working, coming in each week and helping us. And so we're doing a very good job and proud of it.
James, how did Washington County's long-term recovery group come to be? I know you watched the floodwaters from basically your backyard there. Your house was saved, but you've been very involved from day one.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to get involved, and we wanted to figure out how to help our neighbors. We've kind of been living by the motto that we're just making connections. So whatever we can do to connect the survivors in our county to the people that can help them is our main goal.
And whoever wants to jump in here, let's talk about the response, not only from right here in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, but really all over, the folks that have poured into our region to help out. Talk about that response.
Well, right now we've got this group, Mennonite and Amish, in our county. They've been here since November, and they're sending people down from Pennsylvania each week, and we've got them housed there. So we've got that support. That's been huge for us. But my goodness, the amount of people that reached out to us early on that started bringing truckloads of supplies and materials and stuff in early and back in October and November. It's been amazing the amount of stuff that's coming in. Blankets, sheets, mattresses, building supplies. It just goes on and on and on.
You know, we're beyond the days of water and bleach at this point, but he mentioned those donations. How can folks help with that if they want to make some donations, and how do they know that, hey, what I give is going to get to somebody in need?
I mean, anything that comes into the Washington County Long-Term Recovery Group is staying right here in Washington County. A lot of the donations, a lot of the building materials now are coming through churches. You know, the people are coming from outside the area, but the local people have really stepped up. The local churches have played a huge role in this recovery process.
The faith-based organizations, if it hadn't been for the churches and all these faith-based groups that's coming in, we would not be where we are today.
So where are we today? I mean, you talk about houses under construction. How do you feel recovery's going?
In Greene County, we're going really well because we opened up the process early on, and we started open applications to see what the needs were in like October the 25th.
Wow.
So we got started really early. It goes back to our experience in 2011 with the tornadoes in Camp Creek, and I knew to get this off the ground, we had to hit it or strike early to get the donations in and everything. And that made a huge difference in where we are at with Greene County, is because we opened up early. And November, we had a crew there to do 6 houses to rebuild in one weekend right before Thanksgiving. And we had 6 homes that was finished right before Thanksgiving. It gave a lot of people hope. Right. That was, and then we shared, that same group came back this past weekend, and we shared it with Washington County because we knew that they needed a little leg up. And
well, that's what I was going to say. It's not just, it's the organizations and the counties are helping each other as well. Yeah. You know, when we run out of the need, we're going to share our resources with others. We've all got to do this together, and the volunteers are key components of doing that, whether they're local or from out of town.
So we're at 6 months now since this happened. What is the need for volunteers? Folks may think, oh, they don't need me to come out. It sounds like absolutely you still need those folks coming out and helping.
We still do, because you may not have to swing a hammer, you know, but maybe your passion is to plant flowers. You know, we're turning these houses over week by week by week, and this landscaping may be something that just is the cherry on top.
Make it feel like a home, and it's going to help in that.
Absolutely. So doing that. No matter what the skill set is, we can definitely use your help.
How does someone do that? What do they go about? And Jeff, maybe from you as well, that, hey, I can help. What do they do to do that?
So we've got the phone number for AidNet in Greene County. You can contact us there, and once you contact us, we'll place you with a place to work.
We're doing the same thing. We've got Facebook, we've got a phone number, we've got an email address set up. Reach out, let us know what your skill set is, how many people are coming. We'll link you up with our volunteer coordinator. He's working on the backside to help find lodging, help find meals, whatever you need while you're here. We've got the work we can pair you up with.
Our Caleb Perning has a question coming from the community. Caleb, what are we seeing from our viewers out there this evening?
Yeah, Preston, we've gotten a lot of questions from folks about rumors that they've heard online or through hearsay about things that are happening on the ground, and perhaps folks on the panel can address the specific questions that they have, as well as the impact of rumors out there on their work in general. Tracy asks, what is being done about people's stolen FEMA checks? And then Tammy asks, why are people still sleeping in tents?
Rumors and things in the community, how does that affect what you guys are doing, true or not?
I mean, there's a lot of groups that are, not a lot. There are groups here that are not here for the right reasons. But be sure that if the long-term recovery or AidNet is sending somebody to your house, they've been vetted. We know that they're trustworthy, and we know that they're not here for the wrong reasons. You know,
sadly, that is something that the victims are having to deal with, it sounds like.
It is. And I know from talking to Sheriff Sexton, like they're definitely on top of what's going on with the check thing, and you know, that's really outside of our control.
Right, it is.
It is, but it's wonderful that the FEMA did step in early on, and we actually saw those checks going to the homeowners from FEMA, and they stepped up in a big way. So, yeah, it is negative that there's that people are saying
sad that we have to deal with
that we got to deal with the stolen stuff or whatever, but still it's been positive that FEMA was able to help us. And
what are some needs that you may still have out there? What are we still needing to address right now as you recover?
We've always talked about this in phases. You had your muck and gut phase in the beginning where you were cleaning out, and I feel like right now we're in the insulation and drywall phase, awesome. which is when the calls are coming into long-term recovery. It's, hey, my house is ready to be built back. We need insulation and sheetrock. So that's the phase we're kind of moving to right now is building materials.
Any roadblocks you're having trouble getting across?
No, I think we're doing really well. We've just had a lot of really good support in the community, and the supplies are coming in, and the funding and everything. Greene County, we're well on our way.
How long does it take us to reach that goal?
I think in Greene County, we're going to be built out really close in about June or July.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've just been blessed, and we're further than some of the other counties out there.
How are we looking?
Well, I was going to say the first time you and I talked, we were talking 2 and 3 years.
Right.
To be able to say now that out of 175 completely gone homes, we've got 60 under construction.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a year, 18 months.
Yeah. And it sounds like thanks to a lot of work from a lot of groups making that happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you all for what you're doing. Tremendous work right there and making happen in your communities and a great work in recovering. Guys, thank you all for joining us. We're going to continue looking at the recovery, the rebuilding. One group in particular is building a lot of homes. We're going to talk with the folks from Appalachia Service Project and how you can still continue to help the victims of Helene when we continue in Your Voice, Your Future, Hope After Helene.
From News 5 WCYB and Fox 39 WEMT, this is a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall, Hope After Helene.
And we continue our look at Hope After Helene, the recovery of our region as we rebuild. And there's one group that has stepped up early on and said we're going to make a big impact in that, and that is Appalachia Service Project. We've talked with the folks from ASP throughout this recovery. Chris Schroeder joining us again this evening to talk about this. Chris, I think the first time you and I were talking, or the last time, was back before Christmas. You were about to hand over some keys. But let's talk about why this is so important for Appalachia Service Project to be this involved with Helene.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. The short answer is that this is so important to us is because this is where we live. This is our home. These people are our family. These are friends and neighbors and more than that. And we've been blessed and fortunate to be in this area, in these communities for decades now, trying to help families in need, both disaster-related and not. And this was unlike anything anybody had ever seen or could have expected, and we're humbled to just be part of the solution.
And, of course, you say that you've been here. You're headquartered in Johnson City. This is what you guys do day in and day out outside of Helene. But talk about your commitment to those Helene victims. You guys early on said we're going to make a difference. What did you guys say you were going to do?
We publicly committed to rebuilding 200 homes for Helene survivors. That was not specific to any one geographic area. This, of course, was a storm that's devastated a half dozen different states. And it took myself, my staff, my leadership, only a single day of being out in communities after the storm, meeting people, seeing what was there, seeing the damages, to feel comfortable about committing to that number. Wow. And in the time since and in what we've seen and heard from folks since, I would fully anticipate that number being higher than 200, if not significantly so.
That's incredible. How are you on that process? I know you were making progress pretty quickly.
Every little bit of progress is progress, and we are trying to capitalize every day on every single hour, every single donation and volunteer and resource that we have, and trying to stretch it as far as we can, as far as possible. We are blessed, fortunate, humbled that we've got more than a dozen new homes complete right now today since the storm. We have another handful, probably 3 or 4, that have been fully repaired, and we've got more than 30 that are under construction. We've started our first few over in North Carolina, and we are trying to serve and help as many folks as we can as quickly as possible.
How can folks help you with meet that 200-plus goal?
We are far from the only game in town. We are very blessed and fortunate to get to do what we do, but we're not in it for any sort of credit or acclaim. We're here to help our friends and neighbors in need, many of whom have lost everything. So pray for these folks, get in the community and meet these people where they are. And a lot of times that just means listening to them. A lot of these folks, these people have been through a trauma. We all have. And it's going to stick with this community, these communities, plural, for many, many years. And it's what folks are going to think about, like every time it rains or every time the river starts to rise a little bit again. And
is there a need that you've seen that folks could, whether it be slinging a hammer with you guys or helping out from when you're in the community, that we need to help meet those needs?
We have, again, been very blessed and fortunate to have an outpouring of donations and donated building materials and funding, and even just volunteers showing up, not sure which end of a hammer to swing, but want to help out in any way that they can. And every one of those is a blessing. It's a gift that we can put straight back into this community. We're fortunate enough that more than 90% of the donated funds that we receive go straight to building materials, get put right back into the streets where they're needed most for these people and around the region. And we're a nonprofit organization. We've been fortunate to get to do this since the 1960s, and we're trying to do that for an equal amount of time from here again. And it's always a struggle, especially after a disaster. Nonprofit organizations have a default setting where they're trying to make $1 out of every 15 cents, and so every dollar counts. And we've, again, been able to learn from experts, from some of the folks that you've heard from this evening, about what we can do better and differently and more efficiently, more cost effectively, so that we can serve another family, get another house under construction. So every dollar matters, and it's not anything that we take lightly. Every person, every resource matters. ASPHOME.org is our website, and that's an easy entry point into volunteering, donating, even just learning more about ASP and how to get involved and support even from afar. We've been blessed, again, with volunteers and donors from around the country, and what we like to say is it's not a joke to us either, is that we've got new neighbors coming in every single day, some of them from 900 miles away, because they care about these people, they care about this region. It's special to them, it matters to them, and they want to help wherever they can.
How long, real quick, is recovery going to take? You've seen it all across our region. What are we looking at?
It's going to be years. It's going to be years. ASP's wheelhouse, of course, is in housing and residential construction, but you can see the images, you can see the pictures. We've lost roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, even just the mental and emotional and spiritual trauma and toll that it's been on people is going to take a long time to heal, but that doesn't mean that we can't make progress every single day.
Chris, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Thank you for talking with us again here. I'm sure we'll talk many times as we continue. As he was saying, it is a long road to heal, as we have a long way to go in our recovery. Larry Potter telling a moment ago, we may have lost the mountain, but we haven't lost the community, and that is the fact that we can all make a big difference. We thank you for joining us this evening and sharing some time in our Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall. It's Hope After Helene. It's a story we're going to keep covering for many, many days, months, and years to come, probably. We're just 6 months. We want to say thank you to the folks here at the ETSU Martin Center for hosting us here tonight and allowing us to come in and use their facilities. It's been a great host and great having you guys along with us. If you did not catch all of our program this evening, you, of course, can catch that online. We have it on our YouTube and Facebook pages there as well. For all the folks at News 5 and Fox 39, thank you, and thanks for all the volunteers that are making a big difference in our recovery from Helene. I'm Preston Ayers. Thank you for watching. Good night.
been watching a Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall, Hope After Helene, a presentation of News 5 WCYB and Fox 39 WEMD.